As you can see, this stunning, magnificent, brand new home that we're in. All of us have been involved in many projects from start to finish of new construction, renovation. I want to hear what you guys have to say about tips, tricks for custom home builders.
I have a lot to say on that topic, okay? Because I've experienced it firsthand and I've been involved in a lot of different projects, okay? The first piece of advice that I want to give anyone that's considering building a custom home is if you are planning on buying a bungalow or whatever, and tearing it down and excavating and rebuilding a new structure, make sure that your target audience that you're building for lives and resides in that specific neighborhood so that your buyer is already around. If you are building in the hopes of attracting someone from somewhere else, from another country, from another neighborhood or whatever, the chances of failing are pretty high. You'll put in a lot of money, you don't know what you're building, you don't know what the demographic in the area expects, so you're really going out on a limb. But if you're building in an area where you know who the buyer is, you know that the people living there can afford to buy this brand new home, that really gives you a strict guideline as to what it is they want, what type of features the house should have, the layout, who should design it, who should be the builder, what type of finishes. Like, it's all given if you follow this very vital piece of advice.
You as a builder plan to build a new custom home. Before doing that, do research about dominant culture in the neighborhood in order to see what features they would like to have in their home.
But I think what I said about affordability is also important. You want to make sure the people that are living there can afford to buy this home, because the chances are, if you go based on that piece of advice, the chances are that the buyer of this home is already going to be circling around this lot and this build throughout the entire build. Okay, and once it's complete, he's just going to come out of nowhere and say, I watched this house being built. I love the neighborhood. I love the street. I love the location. I love how you did it. And that's it, easy sale. But, in my experience, when you build in an area where you're attracting others, the chances of selling are a lot less. And you're building in the hopes of someone liking what you like. It's worked. I've seen it work. It can happen, but it's, you can also win the lottery, If it's going to be your first project, make sure you go the way that I said. And then once you have room to risk, and once you have a tolerance to risk, then you could probably go and do something like that. But for the first build, the less risk, the better.
One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is it pays to play with the pros. You have to hire professionals that do this full time, that are committed to your project, because nothing is more valuable than time. And if your project doesn't get done in a timely manner, then you're just bleeding dry.
Yeah, and carrying costs is going to be huge.
Your costs just grow.
Yeah.
That's a good point you bring up, because it's hard to find. It's very hard to find. How are you going to find a contractor that lives up to his promise? My experience has not been a good one. Okay, and any contractor that I've worked with that sticks to his word and does what he says he's going to do at the time that he's going to do it, that person's name and phone number is embedded in my memory, because they're so valuable. Yeah, that's great advice to give, for sure.
There's so much work, and they're just getting bombarded with more and more projects. Time management is the biggest thing. You got to make sure that they're capable of handling the workload.
It's hard to believe that there's a need for, contractors that are just honest and hardworking. It's just a funny thing, and I hate to say it, but my experience wasn't good. Guys would say they'll come, they won't come, they'll come a week later, they'll show up with half the stuff, they come back another time. So yeah, that's important. Another thing that was very important to me is an interior designer. A lot of people build homes and they don't really pay that extra little bit for the interior designer. The interior designer just takes money to give their opinion on the overall aesthetic of the house. And if I walk into a house, I can tell within half a second if this house had an interior designer, or if, the guy just said, yeah, that's fine, we'll take it. Because, the kitchen has to match the bathrooms, the doors have to match the cabinetry, the ceiling details need to match on each floor. There's so many little details that an interior designer will consider. So if I was going to build a home, I would definitely hire a very reputable interior designer.